everyone, welcome back to the sessions on the advanced communication. This is the Unit 6 Mobile and Wireless Communication, Session 10. In this particular session, we are going to learn about the Wi-Fi technology. The contents which we are going to cover: Wi-Fi data rate, Wi-Fi connection schematic, Wi-Fi range, Wi-Fi security, and the hotspot. Now, what is the Wi-Fi here? Wi-Fi is nothing but it is the wireless fidelity. That is, Wi-Fi stands for the wireless fidelity. The term Wi-Fi refers to a wireless local area network, which is basically alternative to wired LAN here. This Wi-Fi is also a wireless technology. That is, it refers to the wireless local area network, which is basically alternative to the wired LAN here. The basic requirements means what are the basic requirements are there to establish the Wi-Fi. First one is the Wi-Fi access point, a modem and the routers here. We need the modem which converts that analog signal into digital format, and also the routers. Routers' main job is to connect those signals in the radio wave signals here. Those telephone line signals into the radio wave signals. That is the job of the router here. Therefore, these are the 2 points. Combinedly, we will call it as the access point here. Next is the Wi-Fi client who are making use of that particular signals here. The computers, laptops, mobile phones, tablets, and the printers. These are the Wi-Fi clients here. Now, coming to the Wi-Fi data rate, actually the Wi-Fi is the technology 802.11. The technology the Wi-Fi using is the 802.11, and here some notations are given: 802.11b, G, and N. These are the different names are given for the depending on the speeds here. For the B here, it is the 11 Mbps, that is 802.11b, that is for the 11 Mbps. 802.11g, that is for 54 Mbps, and 802.11n, it is for the 300 Mbps data rate here. Therefore, depending on the data speed here, the notations are given. B stands for the 11 Mbps speed here, G stands for the 54 Mbps speed, and N stands for the 300 Mbps speed here. And the technology which is using is the 802.11 technology here. The Wi-Fi connections, if you observe here, this is the broadband modem here, that is which converts the telephone line signals into analog into digital, and that is given to the router here. This is the router which is converting these telephone signals or those digital signal in the form of the radio waves here, correct? Those are converted into the radio waves. Therefore, these devices, without any wire here, they can access that particular signals here. They can connect to the net here. Therefore, this is the basic diagram here. Here you can observe here also, that is the wireless router. It is converting those telephone line signals into the radio wave frequencies, and number of devices are accessing those signals here. This is the schematic diagram or the connection for the Wi-Fi technology. Next is the Wi-Fi range, that is which is the different ranges they are occupying here. If you consider 802.11a, that is 5 gigahertz, and the frequency range is the 5 gigahertz, bandwidth is the 20 megahertz, and MIMO stream is the 1 here, and the indoor range it can cover up to 115 feet, 115 feet, and the outdoor it can cover up to 390 feet here. That is the 802.11a here. Next one is the 802.b here. Now 802.11b, that is frequency range is 2.4 gigahertz, bandwidth is 20 megahertz, MIMO stream is the 1, and the indoor range is the 125 feet to 460 feet here. Similarly, 802.11g, the frequency range is 2.4 gigahertz, the bandwidth is 20 megahertz, MIMO stream is 1, and the indoor range is 125 feet, and the outdoor is the 460 feet here. Now moving on to the 802.11n here, that is the band frequency range is 2.4 to 5 gigahertz, and the bandwidth is 20 to 40 megahertz, and MIMO stream is 4 here. and the indoor range is 230 feet and the outdoor range is the 820 feet here. That is the ranges of the Wi-Fi which it will covers here. Next, the Wi-Fi security. How the data security is provided in the Wi-Fi technology here. The first one is the wired equivalent privacy, that is the WEP. What do you mean by this WEP? This is the first layer of protection that wireless router would use to encrypt the channel of communication that devices would use to talk to the other router's base station. That is, whenever any device wants to talk to the router's base station, the encryption is provided here. That is the first layer protection here. That Wi-Fi is providing. That is, for encryption is the such that with the data is encrypted and afterwards, if any unauthorized can access also, they cannot make out here. Therefore, that encryption is provided in the first layer here. And what is the limitation of this wired equivalent privacy, WEP? What is the limitation? The limitation is it is hackable and the least secure. That is, it is hackable, that protection can be hackable, and it is not the 100% secured here. WEP is not recommended to use anymore unless you have a very specific reason for turning it on. Means in any emergency you need to use for the WEP, then only you have to go for it. Otherwise, no, it is not recommended because it is not providing the 100% security for the data here. The second type of the protection is the wireless protected access to, that is pre-shared key, WAP to PSK. This is the second type of the security. The WAP to PSK is a newest standard and is an uncrackable here. Means it cannot be hackable. Therefore, it is a very newest standard here. And this protocol makes sure that every device is handed its very own pre-encrypted key that can't be hijacked or stolen on the network. Means each device is having its own encryption method here. Therefore, pre-encrypted key is provided for the each devices. If by mistake also any other device will access those encrypted keys, they cannot make out what is that because they are not having that encrypted key point here. Key signal is not there. Therefore, it is completely secured type of the protection here. Next, the WAP to PSK protects the password that you create when you first create your wireless network. That is, whenever the wireless network Wi-Fi is created using the password, that password is protected by this WAP to PSK here. Without this password, it would be simple for anyone with an iPhone to simply walk by, pick up your signal and have access to all the devices and the computers currently attached to the network at once. Means if that password is not provided by the WAP to PSK security, if the password is not available, then anyone with the facility of the iPhone, they can access the data very easily and they can connect to any of the devices which are connected to our network. Therefore, to avoid that one, the password is provided here. Next, the features of the Wi-Fi. What are the different features here? First one, unmatched mobility and elasticity. That is, Wi-Fi is allowing the new intensity or connectivity without giving up functions here. Wi-Fi introduces the various types of the utilities such as music streamers that transmit our music to speakers without any wires. That is, without any wires, we can transmit our music to the speakers here. Support an entire range of bracket. That is, Wi-Fi supports entire age bracket and create a connection between components on the same network and have the ability to transfer the data between the devices and enable different kinds of devices such as game, MP3 player, etc. here. Therefore, it is supporting the huge range of the devices here. Next, it is convenient and very everywhere it is available here. Wi-Fi is the convenient method or the convenient technology. And when we are traveling, we can equip with a Wi-Fi network and set up shop at any place here. Therefore, this Wi-Fi is a convenient method to access the net here. Features of the Wi-Fi again. faster and secure. With the Wi-Fi, we can get high-speed internet because it is faster than cable connection. We can establish a Wi-Fi network in a small space. Now we don't need any professional installation. The methods are very simple here. Therefore, we can establish the Wi-Fi network and it is providing the very high-speed data transmission here. Wi-Fi with no limitation. We can use the Wi-Fi network with no limitation because it can connect us worldwide here. The connectivity is the worldwide. We can easily reach to our requirements with Wi-Fi networking applications. Extension of the Wi-Fi technology. It is because of this wireless technology that so many other advancements could take place. Now our TV supports Wi-Fi and hence we can connect to the internet and watch the videos like the YouTube, Netflix and much more here. Therefore, we can convert our TV into smart TV using this Wi-Fi also here. Allows us to share our wireless network connections with the devices so they can access the internet with the help of the password here. Public Wi-Fi may be created by business for their customers such as a bus stand, airport, coffee shop, etc. Now the video conference also can be done using this Wi-Fi here and the mobile applications, business applications and the home applications. In all these also we can use the Wi-Fi's here. The browsing the internet. Now let us watch one small video to get the clear idea about the Wi-Fi.
Hey, remember back in the day when your internet was connected through the phone line? Ugh, the sound of dial-up still haunts me in my sleep. Well, we've come a long way since then, and chances are that you're watching this video through Wi-Fi right now. So, how did we get here anyway? Just hop into my time machine and I'll show you. The roots of Wi-Fi go way back to the 1940s. That's when a popular Hollywood actress and inventor by the name of Hedy Lamarr came up with a way to prevent radio signals from being tampered with. That was a pretty important goal, since back then, radio-controlled torpedoes could easily be intercepted and change their course, which meant a huge fail for the Navy submarines. So she came up with the brilliant idea of frequency-hopping signals, where people who controlled them could jump from one frequency to the other and make those torpedoes practically immune to radio interference. Now, grab your double-knit blazer and let's fast forward to the 1980s. This is when personal computers had begun to enter our lives for good. But at that time, computers were connected to the internet through the infamous Ethernet cables. Seems to me like scientists were getting tired of tripping over all those cables since they decided they wanted to start sending data using radio signals. However, those early attempts were unsuccessful, since it all bounced back on walls, furniture, and pretty much anything that stood in a computer's way. What scientists didn't know at the time was that the problem had been solved a decade before PCs were even invented. It all started back in the 1970s with electrical engineer Dr. John O'Sullivan, also known as the father of Wi-Fi. At the time, he and his team were trying to detect radio signals from distant black holes in space, and they came up with complex equations called fast Fourier transforms. Unfortunately, they couldn't detect those black holes, and they put all their equipment back on the shelves to sit and collect dust. Surprisingly, 20 years later, Dr. O'Sullivan and his co-workers decided to give wireless networking a chance, and those forgotten complex equations would play a key role in the invention of Wi-Fi. After a lot of experimentation, they took their fancy fast Fourier transforms, added them in the mixture with the data equations they'd previously tried to send over radio, and thus they formed the basis for the Wi-Fi we all know and love today. But again, that was just the basis. Later, in 1996, they further developed their original key patent, and by 1997, they finally cracked the code and came up with the first version of the 802.11 protocol. Now, this is where you go, ooh, ah. Oh well, maybe you didn't catch what I was saying among all that numeric mumbo-jumbo. Okay, so let's talk about the name you're more familiar with, Wi-Fi. What does it mean anyway? I always thought it was some sort of acronym or abbreviation for two technical terms or something. But truth be told, and that's what we do here on Brightside, it doesn't stand for anything. Here's how the naming situation went down. Since their first protocol, the Wi-Fi Alliance wanted to come up with a catchier name than 802.11. Yeah, good idea. So they hired some market-savvy people to help them with that. And ta-da! Wi-Fi was born. Wi-Fi is a pun on the word hi-fi, which means high fidelity, a technical term used for high-quality audio technology. Now imagine walking into a cafe and asking the staff for the password to the IEEE 802.11. Anywho, now that we've covered all these decades and how we got to where we are today, let's take a look at how Wi-Fi really works. You already know that wireless internet helps you send and receive files, pictures, messages, and whatnot. But did you know that this is all via radio waves? Hey, don't forget about Hedy Lamarr and Dr. O'Sullivan. I told you all that stuff for a reason. Yep, Wi-Fi uses radio waves to transmit data between your router, which is your Wi-Fi source, and your device, or the receiver. These frequencies are measured in gigahertz. To put all the sciencey stuff behind that in layman's terms, imagine this. You're sitting on the beach, enjoying the sun, and watching the waves crash on the shore. If you were to calculate the time between each wave crash, you'd be calculating the frequency of the wave. Let's assume that the time it takes for each wave to hit the shore is 1 second. That second is calculated by hertz. In other words, 1 hertz equals 1 second. Now, 1 gigahertz equals 1 billion waves per second. If you could see that many ocean waves moving so fast, then you might want to scoot out of there and head for the hills. So the frequencies Wi-Fi routers use are 2.4 or 5 gigahertz per second, which is why data gets transferred so quickly to your phone. When it comes to speed, the 5 gigahertz frequency sends information faster over shorter distances, whereas the 2.4 gigahertz router covers farther distances but goes slower. You also have to keep in mind the interference from other devices in our homes that also use the 2.4 gigahertz radio frequencies. For example, if you have baby monitors, garage doors, microwaves, cordless phones, and wireless cameras, they can interfere with your Wi-Fi. And this kind of interference can reduce the speed, or you might lose your internet connection altogether. Uh-oh. Hold off before you microwave some popcorn while binging on some Brightside videos. Although, the latter 5 GHz wireless frequency has 23 channels available to send all your information. Therefore, it doesn't let any of those home devices cause connectivity issues. When you turn your phone or computer on and get on the internet, all the information you'd like to access is broken down into binary code. You've probably heard of this computer language made up of zeros and ones. And when you access something through Wi-Fi, then that binary code is transformed into wave frequencies. If you're trying to visualize how this process works exactly, think of it this way. Imagine you're trying to send an embarrassing picture you took on your birthday to your best friend for a laugh. When you hit send, the photo is broken down into smaller pixels or packets and travels around different routers until it reaches your friend. Then these packets are quickly reassembled like a puzzle, and your friend can finally see the photo and giggle accordingly. All that happens with pretty much anything you try to send, be it videos, recordings, even my voice and the animation you're seeing right now. Whoa! Mind blown. Do you ever wonder what it would be like if we could see all these radio frequencies swirling around the room? I picture myself sitting comfortably on the couch, watching cat videos. Getting work done, of course. And suddenly, all these waves become visible, and I can see everything. I see the little packets of data going from my router to my phone, all those pixels and colorful frequencies drifting through the air. Everything would be traveling around me like a long exposure photo in slow motion, kind of like a little rainbow storm right in my living room. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, maybe I don't, but I can take a guess. If we're truly surrounded by all these radio waves, what does it do to our health? Is Wi-Fi dangerous? Well, the short answer is no. Wi-Fi works at extremely low voltages. Even at short distances, Wi-Fi is just part of the household smog that's generated by TV and radio signals. Wi-Fi uses non-iodizing wavelengths of radiation that are harmless to the human body. The sun, on the other hand, uses iodizing radiation wavelengths, or ultraviolet rays, that aren't so good for you. In fact, it's more dangerous for your body to go outside than it is if you just sit next to your Wi-Fi router. Great! I think I'll keep myself planted on the couch then. And to put your mind at ease a bit more, according to the World Health Organization, there is no scientific evidence to confirm that exposure to low levels of electromagnetic fields has any negative effects on our health. Okay, now that we've all calmed down and taken off our aluminum foil hats, let's talk about why your Wi-Fi signal drops in certain places around your house. Wi-Fi works just like light and sound. The further you are away from the router, the less energy you get. A typical router works at about 100 feet in every direction. As for what can block it, that's pretty much anything that conducts electricity, like metal, water, mirrors, and even our bodies, since they mainly consist of water. For example, if you stand between your router and your device, you might notice a signal drop. Sometimes, even thick brick walls and concrete can hinder the signal. You just probably won't notice the difference since it's teeny tiny. Another highly technical scientific measurement, just smaller than a tad. And there you have it, folks. Now you know a little more about the Wi-Fi you spend hours and hours on each day. Perhaps you'll appreciate it that much more, especially if you were around during the dark days of dial-up. I still thank my lucky stars each time I hop online within a fraction of a second. So, are you as addicted to Wi-Fi as I am? Let me know down in the comments. If you learned something new today, then give this video a like and share it with a friend. But don't go anywhere just yet.
Okay, students, now let us move on. That is hotspot here. What is the hotspot technology? A hotspot is a wireless LAN node that provides internet connection and virtual private network access from a given location. That is, it is nothing but it is a wireless LAN node here that is providing the internet connection via VPN, that is a virtual private network here. A network that creates a hotspot primarily includes a modem and the wireless router. The radio frequency waves sent by the wireless network extend in different directions from its centralized location. Therefore, the waves which are connected by the routers into the RF signals, those are extended from the different directions here, from the centralized location. These signals become the weaker as they travel either further from the central location or due to the interference. That is, if the particular device is moving away from the router, the strength of the signal will goes on reducing here. And also due to some disturbances also or the interference also, the signal strength may reduce here. Now the applications, that is the mobile application. In case of the mobiles, these hotspots are used. Business applications, home applications, and the computerized applications, automotive segment, and the browsing internet. For all these applications, these hotspot applications are used here. Now let us watch the one more video to understand about this hotspot technology.
What is a hotspot? So that is the topic of this video. Now, a hotspot is an actual location where people can go to access the internet wirelessly with their mobile device, such as a laptop, tablet, or a smartphone. And a hotspot could be either public or private. A public hotspot location would be things like a coffee shop. Now, coffee shops are very common in having a hotspot so that their customers can have internet access using their wireless device. And other common public hotspots would be things like hotels, airports, and even on airplanes, or maybe even on a starship. But anyway, hotspots are created with a Wi-Fi router or a wireless access point that's connected to an internet service provider. And these routers and access points will broadcast a Wi-Fi signal so that people nearby can connect and access the internet. And you would connect to these hotspots just like you would with any other Wi-Fi network. You would select the network ID or SSID and type in the password if it has one. Now, some public hotspots are open with no password, and some are secured with a password. So if the hotspot requires a password, you need to find out what it is. And also, not all public hotspots are free. There are some that you have to pay for. So these were examples of public hotspots. Now, an example of a private hotspot would be something like your home. Now, most people who have an internet connection in their home would have a Wi-Fi router that would broadcast a wireless signal so that anyone inside their home, such as family and friends, would be able to access the internet. And another example of a private hotspot would be tethering, which is created by your smartphone. Now, a lot of times there might be a situation where you're away from your home and you need your laptop or your tablet to be able to access the internet. And if you're not near a public hotspot, then you can use the convenience of your smartphone to create a hotspot. Smartphones get their internet access by using cellular networks, and you can transform your smartphone into a wireless access point so it can share its internet connection with your other devices. Now, most smartphones would have the option of creating a hotspot at the touch of a button. And once the hotspot is turned on, your phone will broadcast a Wi-Fi signal just like a Wi-Fi router or an access point so that nearby devices can connect to its signal and access the internet from the smartphone's cellular network. And another method of connecting to the internet is by using a mobile hotspot. A mobile hotspot is a portable device that uses cellular networks to connect wireless devices to the internet. So if there are wireless devices within 30 feet of a mobile hotspot, they can join it and have internet access. Now, mobile hotspots come in two different forms. They will either be a freestanding device like you see here, or as I discussed previously, they can also come as a feature built into your smartphone. And mobile hotspots are available through cell phone carriers such as Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Sprint. So now, going back to public hotspots, now there are some security concerns when you're dealing with public hotspots because they are in fact public, which means that just about anyone can connect to them, and so you're going to be sharing that connection with other people, which could include hackers. So if you're going to connect to a public hotspot, you should take certain precautions. So for example, if you have any folders that are shared, you should turn off folder sharing or at least password protect your shared folders. Another good thing to do is to install an antivirus program, and if you have a firewall, make sure the firewall is turned on. And it's also a good idea to install a VPN on your device. A VPN will prevent hackers from stealing your data because it encrypts the data that's being transferred from your device and the internet. So any activity that you do when you're connected to a public hotspot, such as visiting web pages or transferring files, the data is encrypted and kept private when using a VPN. So guys, just remember that a hotspot is an actual physical location. A hotspot is not hardware. A hotspot is not a router or an access point or your mobile phone or even a mobile hotspot or even a coffee pot that catches on fire for no apparent reason. A hotspot is a location where you can go with your wireless device to access the internet. And also, if you're interested in getting a VPN, I'll put a link in the description below of this video with a special discount. So thank you everyone for watching. Please subscribe and also follow me on Twitter.
Okay, students. Now let us move on to the MCQ quiz here. Okay. First question, wireless networking Wi-Fi can be used to connect computers in home and many cities using which type of the technology here? That is, either it is 801.12, 802.22, 802.11 or 802.13. Which is the correct option? Which technology Wi-Fi is using? Let's try to answer this one. 12, 22, 11 and 13. Which technology Wi-Fi is using? The correct option is 802.11 here. That is the technology the Wi-Fi is using. Next is at what frequencies do Wi-Fi radio waves make transmission? 3 gigahertz or 8, 2.4 or 3, 2 gigahertz or 7.3, none of these. Which is the frequency which is used by the Wi-Fi? That is 2.4 gigahertz or 3 gigahertz. Next one, which of the following is a sign that you might be an unsafe network? The connection requires you to sign up for an account. There is no password needed to access the internet. You get free access with every fifth frame or none of these. That is the answer is there is no password needed. If there is no password needed, then that is unsafe here. Next, Wi-Fi stands for wireless fidelity, wireless functioning, wireless function. That is the answer is the wireless fidelity here. What is the access point in a LAN? What is access point here? Wireless devices itself or both A and B or all the nodes in the network. Which is the correct answer? The device which is used to connect wired network. That is called as the access point here. Thank you for watching. In the next session, we will start with the Zigbee technology. Thank you.